final predictions for the NBA Finals. Drew, go ahead and start it off with who you think is gonna win, how many games, and how do you think these games are actually gonna go?
I'm gonna go with the Dallas Mavericks in 7.
Okay.
I trust the closing ability of Luka and Kyrie over the closing ability of the 7 guys that are going to try to end the game. I think that actually hurts the Celtics in close games, not knowing who's taking that big shot. I'm not sure if it's Tatum. I'm not sure if it's Brown. I'm not sure what we're going to do here. I do not think that Kristaps is going to play this entire series. I think that they're going to hunt the shit out of him, and he's not going to be fully healthy. And I'm really just riding this wave of Luka and Kyrie right now. And it would be boring if we both picked the Celtics.
So if the Celtics end up losing, what's the fallout from that and the immediate aftermath, and then the aftermath going into the offseason? What's the fallout at that point?
I think they'll fire the coach and move him into the front office.
No, just fuck up. Stupid.
He's still around, right? He's technically the GM, Brad Stevens.
Yeah, hey dude, he's a great GM.
I don't really think there's any fallout, man. I just think it's styles define matchups and matchups define the results. And sometimes you just run into something that's a little weird. They're a young team. They're a great team. If you gave all 32 GMs the option of Luka or Tatum, how's that falling? And then if you gave all 32 options, all 32 teams the option of, Jaylen Brown versus Kyrie, I think a lot of people go Jaylen Brown because he's a lot younger, but the Tatum-Luka dynamic is certainly interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this could all be for naught. I mean, they might just smash them out in 5 games. It might be 4-1, gentleman's sweep. But I just think that Luka can go to another level. And we've seen that consistently in regular season games. We've never seen it for a 7-game series, and he's been injured and hampered and everything. But, like I said, it's boring for us to both pick the Celtics. That's why I'm kind of going against you here. But I think from 15 to 20 games into the season, we're like, holy shit, the Celtics are really good. They're probably going to win the finals this year. And now here we are. We're 4 wins away from them being NBA Finals champions again.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I picked obviously the Celtics, and I did do it in 7. I didn't do it any less than that. So
you said 7?
I think I did say 7. So this is the most nervous I've been throughout the playoffs.
I can tell.
Very comfortably the most nervous. And the Dallas Mavericks themselves, I would say pre-playoffs, weren't really making me that nervous, even though they had a ton of success moving into the playoffs, going from right outside of the play-in or right in the play-in to all of a sudden surging all the way up to the 5th seed, and even having the chance to take the 4th seed away from the Clippers. So having that chance and opportunity was there in front of them for that. And the additions of Gafford and Washington completely turned this team around to something completely different. And the big contributions from guys like Josh Green, brought up Derek Lively, obviously, and also I feel like I'm forgetting one more. Oh, Derek Jones Jr. So big contributions from guys like that make this team a little bit more dangerous moving into the playoffs, but then actually being able to perform on top of that. And that's not just regular season success at the end of the season when guys are starting to get more tired and fatigued and the Mavericks just happen to turn it on. That's not what happened. We could see that now. Guys are rested up in the playoffs for the most part against the Mavericks, and they're performing time in and time out. And Luka, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of actually watching him because of the theatrics and the antics and the looking at the ref and having the ball stolen from him and immediately looking over when he can go for a block or go try to play defense, it's super annoying to watch him play. But regardless of what my opinion is, at the end of the day, he's one of the top 5, top 3 players in this league right now, regardless of what I say or how I feel when I'm watching him. That's the reality situation, and he has taken another step forward in that Luka magic to get them to this point right now. So it's nerve-wracking to watch it. The Celtics are the Celtics, and they're boring to talk about, right? Because they're good, right? It's not exciting to watch, to talk about those teams. And in the NFL, the only reason we talk about the Cowboys and the 49ers as the top teams is because you and I are fans of them. So that's the only reason we talk about them so much. So it's not exciting to talk about those top teams. There's no discourse. There's no troubles. But right now is the most nerve-wracking out of the entire season, not just because it's for the finals, but because, again, Celtics haven't been really challenged that often, and the Mavericks are super red hot, including big contributions from the guys I mentioned. Obviously, Luka, and then can't forget World B flat, Kyrie Irving as well.
Not touching it.
You didn't want to touch that one.
You're going to get us canceled.
That's fine. All right, Drew. Before we move on off of the
we're going to be streaming
stuff,
on Facebook Live here when we get booted off of YouTube.
Oh, dude, that would suck. Before we move on from the NBA stuff and the NBA Finals specifically, I know we said 7 on both ends. Who takes game 1 on Thursday? Obviously, we should be live streaming directly after the game. Whenever you get off of work, obviously.
I'm off on Thursday.
Okay, cool. So we'll go live directly after it. So who takes game 1?
Dallas.
You've been hanging out downtown with the crackheads.
Here's the thing is they're going to struggle to weave Kristaps back in. It's not going to work in the beginning. And then the coach is going to have to figure out, all right, do I just abandon Porzingis completely and send him to the bench? By that time, it's going to be too late, and Dallas is going to take game 1, which is going to be a stark contrast from the rest of these playoffs because Dallas keeps losing and looking like shit, and then they come back like crazy. So I'm just going to go with something different.
Yep. Celtics in game 1 at home. They're pretty hard to stop, so going to go with them.
I don't see how Dallas wins 4 of 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like one game obviously doesn't mean the series, but oh man, if Detroit, what the hell? If Boston comes out and wins game 1, that's tough. Outside of just let's
promise you
put the big disclaimer here that if Tatum blows his ACL out, none of this matters.
Oh yeah, big time. And I promise you that when you said Detroit, we probably are not going to mention on this podcast the Pistons
ever
in the playoffs for a very, very long time. So
even
the last time they're mentioned on this podcast for the finals was right there. So
even the Lions don't think they're going back to the playoffs. So Detroit's just shit out of luck. Hey, shout out to the Kings. Dumbasses.
Celtics win by 10. My cousin says Celtics win by 10 in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, if the Celtics come out and smash in game 1, I do not see Dallas winning 4 of 6. So I'm just picking game 1 to keep Dallas in it. I just don't see that happening. But shout out to the Kings for signing Mike Brown to his extension, because letting your coach come into a lame duck year when you're trying to convince Malik Monk and shit to come back. And, shout out to us for thinking that we're going to do any type of NBA draft coverage when the whole NBA thinks this draft sucks. So that's going to be lame.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing for the first draft to try to cover.